All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for downloading this discussion about the new Whole Farms for Clean Water program that we have launched this year. And this video is for you to gain an understanding of the program and how you might participate. I'm Rick Lawson, a watershed planner with the Huron River Watershed Council. And we are leading this initiative with our partners with Solutions in the Land. And with me today, I have Hope Hellman. You want to introduce yourself, Hope?
Sure, Rick. Hi, everyone. This is Hope Hellman with Solutions in the Land. We'll be working one-on-one with farmers to help them through the process of signing up for and learning more about the Whole Farms for Clean Water program.
Great. And you'll hear from Hope in just a minute as well. Okay, so first off, oops, a little hiccup there. So Solutions in the Land is one of our partners, along with Environmental Consulting and Technology, who you might hear from as well. We're all working together to try to get the best information out to farmers to participate in the program and to help improve their productivity and outcomes as well. So this program is focused on reducing phosphorus in the watershed and ultimately draining to Lake Erie. Phosphorus is the main nutrient that drives algae blooms that we've experienced in the region. In the Huron River watershed and Ford and Belleville Lakes in particular have experienced a lot of algae blooms. But really importantly in Lake Erie, as you may remember from the harmful algae blooms, a really serious one that happened in 2014 that caused Toledo to shut down their drinking water intake and led to massive fish die-offs. So we're trying to really, at the Watershed Council, we're trying to do everything we can to reduce phosphorus levels in the water. And this is just one program that we're trying to engage in with different groups that can have an impact on this. Phosphorus levels are rated as excessive in this watershed in the waters themselves. And that's due to a number of sources, agriculture just being one of them. You know, there's urban sources and residential and non-point sources, or really diffuse sources. So really, we all have a hand in it. But you know, today we're here to talk about one direction. Phosphorus is one important aspect of phosphorus is that it binds directly to soil. And you know, you as a farmer, you all work with the soil a lot, and you probably know this. But so if you get any kind of erosion, the phosphorus goes along with that soil in many cases. And it's one particular source of erosion. So activities that can reduce erosion can also reduce the amount of phosphorus that's moving through the watershed, through our rivers and streams into the lakes. And ultimately, as you know, phosphorus is one of your main nutrients that you're using to produce crops. So any loss that you have is not being taken up in the plants and is costing you money. So that's why we're focused on phosphorus here. Ultimately, we're doing this program to reduce some sources of runoff into the Ford and Belleville Lakes, which are downstream of the city of Ypsilanti, and to Lake Erie's Western Basin, as I mentioned before, and to reduce those incidences of harmful algae blooms. And ultimately, the program is also interested in improving sustainability of farming practices and diversifying practices as well to provide multiple streams of revenue to farmers that can work, you know, to really create a win-win, a win for the watershed by reducing the amount of phosphorus loss, and potentially a win for farmers by diversifying practices and income streams. So the area that we're looking at here to engage this program is mostly in Washtenaw County, but with a little part into Livingston County as well in the upper portion. And it's the drainages that are basically downstream into and downstream of Portage Lake up until Ford Lake, including Fleming Creek, which, if you can see this arrow, is in this watershed. In fact, let me put the laser pointer on. So Fleming Creek is to the west of the city of Ann Arbor. I'm sorry, to the east of the city of Ann Arbor, and then most of the area is to the west, of that city, including Scioto Township and Dexter and farmland all throughout Chelsea and Dexter area, and up into and around Pinckney as well in the Portage Creek drainage. So those are the areas that we're looking at. Engaging the program in. So you've got a farm in this area or close to that, we want to talk to you and find out if you're interested in participating. We have already, over the many years that the Watershed Council has been around, since 1965, we have been working to reduce sources of phosphorus, really since we've known about the problem being an issue in the late 80s through the 90s. We've been working primarily reducing sources from the urban centers and the direct wastewater treatment plants or point sources. And up to this point, all this work has contributed to significant reductions. We have decreased those sources, or really all sources together, by anywhere from 25 to almost 50%, depending on which model we look at. So that's a very significant decrease, and one that's really difficult to achieve, and is hard to come by. Many other areas of the state and really in the country that have been working to try to reduce these sources have really struggled to do so, but we've been able to do that with our urban sources. And this has come from over tens of millions of dollars that have been spent by partners throughout the watershed on wastewater treatment plant upgrades, improvements to stormwater infrastructure, broad-based education for residents in the watershed, newer green infrastructure practices throughout the system, and control of new and upgrades to development as well. So all of this has contributed to those reductions, but we really have not worked with our agricultural partners in the watershed up until this point. And we're seeing phosphorus loading coming from some of our larger agricultural areas that really hasn't changed much over the years. So that's why we're focused on agricultural sources now with this program. So what we want to do is, what we're trying to do is to work with farmers in the watershed and start talking about where some of the phosphorus might be coming from, and look for opportunities to make some improvements. Some of these might be slight improvements. Some of them could be very major improvements on individual farm plots, but we'll take it all. Anything that can be done, we're interested in trying to find a way to make that happen. We do have a set of targeted practices, which you'll hear about in a minute from Hope, and those will go into the program and be encouraged through a type of program that's referred to as pay for performance. That's the PFP there. And what it is basically, if you're willing to engage in a new practice, we will provide some incentive payment for that practice, depending on and that amount will be based on the amount of phosphorus loss reduction that occurs from that. So aside from that program, we're also working with some other regional conservation initiatives, like the Regional Conservation Protection or Conservation Program, and some of the programs out of the with the NRCS and conservation districts, to build on to build on our program and to really add to it rather than trying to duplicate efforts. So we're aware of all these programs, and they, working in concert could result in enhanced benefits for an individual farm for engaging in these new practices. We're also working on some new relationships with new market opportunities for alternative products or farm products that can do that, some of that win-win, provide some of those win-win benefits, providing a product that can get a good price at the market, while at the same time having a reduced impact on phosphorus losses. So we're working on those market ends as well. And so if you participate in this program, you can get access to some of the work that we're doing to establish those new relationships. And then finally, the other support that we're providing through this is whole farm plans, which are providing unique solutions to your farm to help you, develop sustainable plans and crop practices for the long term. And hope will provide some more information on some specifics with that if you're interested in getting one of those done. So I will turn it over to Hope for a few minutes to talk about some of the specifics. Go ahead, Hope.
Thanks, Rick. There are a variety of conservation practices that we are encouraging through this program, including alterations to your in-field management practices, edge-of-field practices, extending your crop rotation by using cover crops and other alternative crops, and other strategies that are unique to your farm. In the field, we're interested in common practices like reducing your phosphorus application and making sure that those applications are based in a nutrient management plan and the needs of your soils. We'd like to discuss adjusting the tillage options on your farm to best meet the needs of both your cropping plan, but also to minimize the erosion that Rick talked about on earlier slides. At the edge of fields, we may look at whether grassed waterways or filter strips are the right fit for any of your fields to reduce, again, that runoff that's already occurring and carrying sediment, which might have that phosphorus included in it. To see a full list of the practices that we are able to measure and discuss for your farm, please view the survey that we will be talking about later on the slide about the participation process. Rick, I believe that participants or anyone interested in the program can find that survey on the project website as well, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Great. And if you have any practices that you're interested in implementing on our farm that you don't see listed, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask whether we can incorporate that into the program. We want these conservation practices to be based both in the research and science about what's most effective, but also to be a good fit for your particular farm and your needs.
So I'll take a moment here to describe the idea that makes the Whole Farms for Clean Water project a little bit different from most conservation programs. The goal of this program is really to find cost-effective ways to improve the Lake Erie and Huron River watershed, while also resulting in better payments for farmers, so improving your bottom line. Instead of paying every participant a flat rate for implementing a specific practice, our payments are based on how effective practices will be on your farm, which is to say how much phosphorus loss will be prevented. We determine effectiveness through a computer model developed for this project by university researchers. We put the information about your farm into the model, combined with various conservation practices, and the model estimates the change in phosphorus loss. We then base our payments on that change. So for example, if we had 2 neighboring farms, instead of paying them the same amount for implementing cover crops, we would talk with them, run the data about their farm through the model developed for this project, and if we found that, say, a filter strip would be more effective on one farm, then that farmer would get a higher payment for implementing a filter strip than for cover crops. On the other farm, if we found that a cover crop were more effective than other practices, it would be the opposite. They would receive the highest payment for implementing cover crops. So, just to reiterate, your payments are directly related to the estimated pounds of phosphorus loss reduced by the actions that you take on your farm. So, we'll describe what all the participation steps look like in a minute here, but essentially my team, Solutions in the Land, and ECT, which makes up the technical team for this project, will work with you to evaluate techniques and practices that will be most effective and also the best fit with your farm. I'll talk more about that and bullet point 4, farm plans, on the next slide.
So one of the options that participants in the Whole Farms for Clean Water have is for the technical team, which is Solutions on the Land and ECT, to prepare a whole farm plan. The whole farm plan will detail a unique implementation plan for how to incorporate the recommendations that we make for phosphorus loss on your farm. These plans will be a unique implementation plan that helps you incorporate those into your farming operation. Much of the information we need for farm plans will already be gathered as you participate in the program. The first step will be the same as for general participation in the Whole Farms for Clean Water program. We'll ask you to fill out the survey that we've mentioned and provide any supporting documents that we need to fill out that survey and to understand your farming operation. Then the technical team will set up an interview and, if necessary, a site visit to view your farm and discuss what challenges or opportunities you might have in incorporating these management changes and phosphorus loss reduction strategies into your farm. Based on these conversations, the information from the survey, and any other supporting documents, we will prepare a written plan for your farm, including details about the actual implementing the actual practices, any supporting market opportunities that may come up, how to address or where to get more information about any challenges you might face, and any other supporting changes we can make across your farming operation to support the reduction of phosphorus runoff. How is this plan different from other types of whole farm plans that you may already have developed or may have heard about before, like nutrient management plans or conservation plans? This plan focuses specifically on the reduction of nutrient loss from your farm, but we want to take a whole farm approach. So we may actually incorporate elements from a conservation plan or a management plan into this farm plan, or vice versa, to make sure that the changes that we are recommending, you are not left on your own to implement those. We want to make sure you have all of the information, support, and ways to think about how to incorporate this into your entire farming operation.
Okay, great. And so the process is really pretty straightforward. I mentioned a part of it in just a couple slides ago, but essentially you've already started that. So by viewing this this webinar broadcast and learning about the program, hopefully you'll get enough of a feel of what we're trying to do to then move forward and participate. The next step is you can sign up on our website and get some more information, and the way to do that is that you will let us know when you're available, and one of our agronomists, either Hope or Stacy Cushenberry or somebody else, will give you a call, and we can answer any questions that you might have. talk to you some more about the program. And if you have some information put together about your farm, and we have a whole list of the data and the information that's needed on our website. If you have that put together, we can start the application process right there on that call. So you can complete the survey, which is step 2, that tells us about your current management practices and the practices that you would be interested in looking at. And it's a relatively quick process, just a couple pages on the survey. Will require that you look some information up, most likely, like your any soil surveys that you have had done in the past, for example. And then what will happen is once that survey is completed, we have all the information that's needed. We will input that information into the model. That's a process that takes no more than a day or two to run through. And then we'll get some results back on what the potential benefits are from the phosphorus loss reduction side, and then what that equates to for a benefit payment, an incentive payment for you to engage in that. And we'll go over, we'll give you a call back and talk to you about what those results are showing. And then you can consider what might be appealing to you in the next growing season or so. And if everything looks good and you like the recommended practices and the size of the benefit payments, then we'll develop a contract with you that will basically establish what you're committing to do and what we're committing to pay you. Acknowledging, kind of all the details of that. It's really simple, straightforward. We're paying you to employ a practice. You're putting that practice in your fields or in your farming regimen, and that's it. That's all there is to the contract. And then once that contract is signed and you've committed to a certain time frame for when you're going to be engaging those practices, once those are in the field, we'll make a time that project staff will come out and do a quick verification that those are there. Once we verified the practices, we'll then cut a check for the payment for that year. You may receive payments for multiple years, depending on what we're signing up, how we're getting those signed up. And so those practices would be verified annually, and you could receive an annual payment stream. So that's really the simple process in 7 steps. Right now, we are offering an initial sort of incentive, which is a guaranteed commitment on our part to pay at $20 per acre for the first 1,000 acres that are enrolled in the program. We believe that if you agree to get involved in this program and agree to implement the practices that are recommended, we can get you at least $20 an acre for that. And if you go through that whole process and the payments don't show that the recommended practices will yield you $20 an acre, we're guaranteeing that you'll still get that for going through the process. We will run them through the model to get the numbers that we have, and then you will get that payment at the end of the verification process. It doesn't mean that you have to engage in those practices. If you decide that you want to do a subset of those practices, you're welcome to do that, and you get paid for the practices that you put in place. But we can't guarantee you $20 an acre on that. If you do engage in the recommended practices, that's a guarantee that we're making to you. And it may be that you would receive more than $20 an acre, depending on your farm, its position, and your current practices. So there are a lot of practices that will pay a much higher amount than that. But we know that we can, we're quite confident that we can guarantee that $20 an acre at minimum. So we are happy to be offering that. So that's really the gist of the program. Hopefully it seems pretty straightforward to you and you have a good understanding for what we're trying to do and how it might benefit your farm and improve your sustainability. But if please look for more information on our website. The address is right there. And if you have any questions, feel free to send an email to myself or Hope, or give me a call directly. And I'd be happy to answer those. But probably the best thing for you to do is to go to the website and sign up for an appointment to get all your questions answered and start the process. And with that, I think that's all I have to say about the program. So I will thank you for your time, for watching this video, and look forward to hearing from you. Hope, do you have anything you want to close with?
No, I think you've covered it all. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks again, and we look forward to hearing from you. Bye now.